So today we want to talk about parallel lines and the angles created by those parallel lines. So first, see the two black lines on here, and I've put them as parallels. I think I can get them. But we need to have some proper notation on how to mark them parallel. So the proper notation says go ahead and put an extra pair of arrows on them. Now typically for me, I usually do a double arrow. Now, there's no real mathematical reason why I do the double arrow. It's just like why I do 2 tick marks instead of 1 tick mark. I just, for me personally, I like the way it looks better, I think. Okay, so one more quick piece of vocab. This blue line right here is called the transversal. Okay, and what does that mean? How do we know when something's a transversal? It is the line that cuts across the two parallel lines. Okay, it's a line that touches both of our other two lines. So the blue line is my transversal. The two black lines, those are my parallel lines. Okay, so the transversal cuts across the parallel lines in a way that I have 8 different angles formed. So first, just make sure you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We definitely have things like vertical angles that are formed. So 5 and 7 are vertical, 8 and 6 are vertical, 1 and 3 are vertical, 2 and 4 are vertical. Okay, we definitely have pairs of supplementary angles like 3 and 4, or 1 and 4, or 5 and 6. Okay, that's old news. We've been there, we've done that. That's more chapter 2. Right now, we need to get into naming some of these other pair of angles.
So specifically, what happens if I pick an angle from up here and an angle from down here? Is there a name for the pair of angles that includes angle 1 and angle 8? Or maybe angle 3 and angle 5? So are there names for those pairs of angles? And the answer is yes.
Okay, so take a look. I've thrown these 3 words up there. Really, it's 2 words, interior and exterior. So we need to make sure we understand where is the interior when it comes to naming these angles and location-wise. Okay, so when we say interior, interior is everything in between the 2 black lines. So everything in here between the 2 parallel lines in this case, that is considered the interior. When we say exterior, exterior could either be up here on top, so outside of my 2 black lines, or out here on the bottom, okay, outside of my 2 parallel lines. Next, we have to talk about what does it mean to be alternating angles or same side angles. So anytime you see the word alternate or same side, it refers to where they are in relation to the transversal. So if I talk about angle 1 and angle 2, okay, they are on alternate sides. They are on different sides of the transversal. But if I look at an angle like number 1 and then an angle like number 4, they are on the same side of the transversal. So alternating means one's on the left side and one's on the right side in this example. And same side would be both on the left side or both on the right side. So let's start putting some names to certain angle pairs. I would like to name the pairs of alternate interior angles. So what does that mean? That means that they are going to be on alternating sides of the transversal, but they are going to be inside the parallel lines. Okay, so look at what I've written here. My first pair of alternate interior angles are angles 4 and 6. So look at here's the 4 and here's the 6. What do you see? They are on alternating sides of the transversal, meaning one's to the left side and one's to the right side. And then they are on the interior of my 2 parallel lines. So alternating sides of the transversal, interior between the 2 black lines, and that's where I got 4 and 6. The same holds for angles 3 and 5. They are on alternating sides, so one to the right and one to the left, and they are in the interior. Okay, we can do the same thing for the alternate exterior angles. So look where angle 1 is and angle 7. They are on opposite sides of the transversal, so one to the left and one to the right, and they are in the exterior of my 2 parallel lines. And again, the same holds for angles 2 and 8. Okay, so hearing how we explained the alternate interior and the alternate exterior, what do you think about these names? Where would your same side interior angles be and your same side exterior angles be? Take a minute and see if you can figure it out. Okay, take a look. How'd you do? So angles 4 and 5, take a look. They are on the same side of the transversal. They are both to the left side, and they are in the interior between my two black lines. Okay, the same thing goes for angles 3 and 6. So they are here. They are to the right side of the transversal, and again, they're in the interior between my two parallel lines. Now, same side exterior angles. So if I look at angles 1 and 8, they are outside and they are to the left of my transversal. So 2 and 7, they are again on the right side of the transversal, so same side of the transversal, there's the same side, and they are exterior angles. Okay, we have one more type of angle to name. We have angles called corresponding angles. Now, what a corresponding angle is, this is maybe the trickiest to explain. They are in corresponding locations by intersection. What does that mean? Take a look at angle 1. If I look at this intersection, angle 1 is in the top left corner. So when I go to this intersection down below, angle 5 is in the top left corner. So angle 1 is corresponding to angle 5. Okay, if I try to go to angle 2 is in the top right corner in this top intersection. So when I go to the bottom intersection, who's in the top right corner that matches angle 2? Right here, angle 6. Okay, the same can be said for angle 4 and angle 8. They are in the bottom left corner of their intersections, and angle 3 and angle 7 are in the bottom right corners of their respective intersections. Okay, so just take a look and quick review and make sure you can name your alternate interior angles, your alternate exterior angles, your same side interior angles, your same side exterior angles, and lastly, your corresponding angles. Okay, so later in this chapter, we will discover different properties that these angles hold. We will discover their relationships. Are they congruent angles? Are they supplementary angles? Are they complementary angles? What is the relationship between angles 4 and 6? Or angles 2 and 7? Or angles 1 and 5? So right now, I don't need you to worry about the relationships. That's coming up later. Right now, I just need you to be able to name the different pairs of angles. However, if I take away the fact that they are parallel lines, so I can take away the arrows and let's move one of these lines so they don't look so parallel. Okay, so take a look. New picture. The lines are definitely not parallel. They will come to an intersection point over here somewhere. But the question is, does that change all of these angle pairs? Does it change the fact that 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles? And the answer is no, and this is super important. Angles 4 and 6 are still on alternate sides of the transversal, and they are still in between the two other lines. So it doesn't matter that these lines are not parallel. 4 and 6 are still alternate interior angles. In fact, 3 and 6 are still same side interior angles. They're still between these two black lines, even though they're not parallel, and they're still on the same side of the transversal. Okay, also, let's go over here and pick one of these guys. So let's say 2 and 6. 2 is still in the top right of that intersection. And in the top right of this intersection is still 6. So they are still corresponding angles. And no matter what else we talk about later, when we say if parallel lines, then maybe these angles are congruent or these angles are supplementary or whatever, it doesn't change the fact that these names still hold even if the lines are not parallel. Super important.